In the year 1991, Government of India had to face severe economic crisis. Why economic crisis arose? It was mainly on account of growing public debt and adverse balance of payments. So external debt was increasing and public debt within the country also was increasing. So government was finding it difficult to solve the problem of balance of payments. In addition to that, there was growing unemployment and frustration among the youth. The public sector was showing bad performance. Public sector units were continuously undergoing losses. Public sector units were continuously undergoing losses and exhibited inefficiency. Hence, keeping in view these economic conditions and also losing of faith by the foreign investors and NRI, non-resident Indians, on the performance of Indian economy. Added to that was Gulf crisis. So, Government of India was put in a severe economic conditions and was almost caught in a debt trap. You know, the trap is put for catching animals like tigers, rats and all. So, Indian economy was caught in a debt trap and we were not able to come out of the debt, internal debt as well as external debt, which we have to repay in terms of foreign exchange. So, all these have led to thinking in the government. As a result, government introduced a sensational economic reform which is popularly known as LPG model to overcome the economic crisis and bring about a dynamic change and give a big push to the economy. So as a result of this LPG model, new economic reforms were introduced. So, new economic reforms were introduced namely through L, liberalization, P, privatization, and G, globalization. So, one by one, we will now understand what do we mean by liberalization. What steps were taken under liberalization? So now, first concept, liberalization. So what is liberalization? You know, liberalization, freedom of the economy, freeing the economy. So it refers to removal of restrictions on trade and industry. So far, whatever were the controls and regulations, restrictions and controls, whatever were there on the trade and industry, those will be removed. So, liberalization refers to removal of restrictions on trade and industry. Its main aim, liberalization main aim is to free the economy. Liberalize the economy, free the economy from unnecessary controls and regulations. Controls and regulations of the government and bureaucrats. So who are bureaucrats? Bureaucrats are government officials. So far till 91, government officials were involving into running of industrial enterprises, and the industrial enterprises were not able to perform efficiently. So, from this reform, government made an attempt to free the economy from unnecessary controls and regulations of government and also bureaucrats. Thereby, government freely opened the gates of Indian economy to the foreign investors. So, in the light of this, we have to know how liberalization was introduced. What were the steps taken to liberalize our economy? They are called as features of liberalization. So, what are the features? First, abolition of industrial licensing. So, the licensing which is required for industries was only limited to strategic industry. The limit of strategic industry day by day came down, and it is at present limited to 6 industries. Like already I have mentioned several times, alcohol, hazardous chemicals, units causing environmental pollution, and so on. So, other than these strategic industries, remaining industries can be set up without licensing from the government. So, first step towards liberalization is abolition of industrial licensing. Second, relaxation of MRTP restrictions. So, here also relaxation. Relaxation of what? MRTP, monopolistic and restrictive trade practices. The government of India was controlling the industries with high assets through the act of MRTP to control formation of monopolies and unfair trade practices. But this act was amended and replaced by Competitive Act. Competitive Act in general takes care of unfair trade practices and formation of monopolies, but specifically not on any particular unit or industry. So, this gives freedom to the MRTP companies which were restricted by the government so far. So, MRTP makes relaxation to such companies. Then, foreign investment. Our main aim of new economic reforms itself is inviting foreign investment. So, how this was allowed? Government has made foreign direct investment. FDI stands for foreign direct investment up to 51% in priority industries. So, the equities of companies can be collected up to 51% even in strategic industries, or for example, priority industry. Priority industry. So, 51% of the equity of priority industries can be collected in the form of foreign investment, that too foreign direct investment. Then technology. Technology is also very important for industrial development. So, what steps were taken to free technology? So, foreign technology would be allowed to be imported, and by providing automatic approval. So, if any industrial unit has to import foreign technology or employ technical experts, automatic approvals will be granted. Automatically, without any problem, automatically they will be given approvals. Then, location of industrial unit. So, industrial units which do not fall under the strategic category can be set up in any area if the area is below 1 million population without any approval from the government. Without prior approval, such units can be located in areas of lower than 1 million population. So, under liberalization, Government of India made sincere effort to liberalize economy from the clutches, from the grip of government control and bureaucratic control. So now, next concept under economic reform, that is privatization. So what is privatization? Privatization refers to introduction of private ownership in public sector units. So government will give away its equity or assets to the private companies through private ownership. So the equity of the government will be offered to the private enterprise through public issue, initial public issue, and so on. So, how this privatization takes place? Mainly, it will be done through reduction in the number of public sector units. The government will try to reduce the number of public enterprises which were under the control of the government. As a step towards this, the exclusive monopoly industries of the government was just reduced to 3. They are atomic energy, arms and ammunition and related defense equipment and rail transport. So, these 3 industries are considered to be very, very important. Other than these 3 units, these 3 industries, all other units can be handed over to the private sector. So, government has started reducing the number of units under public sector. Next, how transfer of shares is done. That is how private sector will be handed over the equity of the government industry. So, there are certain methods like denationalization. So, what is denationalization? Nationalization refers to taking over the activities of the economy by the public sector. Opposite of nationalization is denationalization. So, government starts giving away the units to private people. So, nationalization is taking over by the government. Denationalization is giving back to the private sector. So, government will reduce the public sector units through denationalization. So, government or public sector companies will be handed over to the private sector through offering equity. Now, in the recent budget, there is much importance to the terms of denationalization and next, disinvestment. So, what is disinvestment? So far, suppose 100 units are held by a public sector unit. These equities or shares will be reduced. They can be reduced even up to 26%. So, government, instead of investing, it will start giving away the investment to private sector. So, disinvestment of public sector units. So, I have already told you, in this budget, government is giving priority to privatization through disinvestment. Then, industries can also be leased. That is, public sector units can be leased or given on contract, outsourcing or franchising. That is, for a certain time, the activities of the government, public sector units can be handed over to private enterprise through leasing, contracting or outsourcing. So, these are the various methods by which privatization is taking place in our economy. So far, we have learned about the meaning of privatization and the methods by which privatization takes place. Next, now we learn about merits and drawbacks of privatization. So, what are the advantages or merits, plus points of privatization. So, first, privatization helps in reducing burden on public sector. So, the financial burden of the public sector will be reduced. So, the assets of the government are purchased by their equities and shares of the government are purchased by private sector. So, it will have more funds. So, burden of the public sector is reduced. Then, government can concentrate on infrastructure. So, with the funds available, government can concentrate on development of infrastructure and units requiring huge outlay. So, the funds created will help in development of infrastructure like roads, railways, and so on. Then, increase in profitability. So, once the public sector hands it over assets and management to the private sector, government sector becomes more efficient and it can take decisions very easily because autonomy in taking decisions comes to the limited enterprises. Then increase in profitability. So once funds are created to public sector units, government companies can run with profitability. Then efficiency of public sector. So the efficiency of public sector also increases with the help of privatization because public sector units will become less and the bureaucrats can concentrate on important decisions regarding output and product management. Then helps in repayment of public debt. So the funds created through privatization can be used for payment of loans taken by the government, that is repayment of public debt. Then now, demerits of privatization. We have to remember that privatization or private sector is totally motivated by profit and self-interest. Public sector has social welfare in view, but private sector is guided always by profit making and self-interest. So, there are some problems which arise due to privatization. So, what are they? Negligence of social welfare. So, the welfare that is required for common people, poor people may not be taken care. The goods which are required by small people, small sections of society, economically small sections of the society, poor people may not be taken care. Then high prices. The private sector units can charge high prices for their products with or without good quality. Inferior quality products also may be charged with high prices. Then corruption and lobbying. So in order to take decisions or influence the government officials to suit their interests, they may start resorting to corruption like bribing and other methods and lobbying. Lobbying means they talk to the government officials and put them in a tight corner to listen to their interests. So, lobbying of government officials and corruption like bribing may take place of private sector in order to achieve profit motive. Then evasion of taxes. Generally, private sector is known for avoiding taxes taxes through showing wrong accounts and thereby evading the payment of taxes. So the revenue of the government may be affected. At last, private sector also leads to overexploitation of resources of our country. Private enterprises do not have long-term perspective in their mind. Hence, in order to get short-term profit, they start exploiting the natural resources of our country, which have to be stored or left for future generations. So, it may lead to overexploitation of natural as well as other resources of the economy. So, now next concept is about globalization. So, what is globalization? Globalization refers to integration of domestic economy with world economy. So, after globalization, our domestic economy, that is home economy, Indian economy becomes equal with world economy. It integrates itself with world economy. That means there will not be any difference between Indian economy and world economy. Indian economy becomes a part and parcel of world market or world economy. It also means opening up of our economy to international competition. So with globalization, our industrial units have to compete with international industry. So it gives place to international competition. Then how this is achieved? Globalization is generally achieved through trade barriers removal. That is by removing the trade barriers on imports and exports of goods. That means with globalization, goods can freely enter into our country and goods of India can be sent or exported to other countries. Globalization helps in not only imports and exports of goods but also services, technology and other ideas and so on. So globalization makes our economy more dynamic. So what are the advantages of globalization? So when we enter the gates of Indian economy to the world economy and allow foreign markets to become part of Indian market, what would be the advantages we face? So advantages include enjoyment of different goods. So people in India can enjoy different types of goods like different refrigerators, TVs and so on. Then it develops competitiveness in home industries. So when there is no competition, industries remain inactive. But once competition of other countries, other markets, other industries start, our industries become more active. Then import of high technology from advanced countries without any investment. So with globalization, automatically high technology can be imported or brought from advanced countries like USA, Russia and so on. Then increase employment through MNCs. So once multinational companies start entering into our country, there will be various employment opportunities created and employment is provided by the MNC. Then helps in removing poverty. So once the incomes of the people increase, poverty or incidence of poverty is reduced. So it helps in overcoming the problem of poverty. So, and ultimately, India becomes a favorable destination for foreign investors. So globalization helps in making our economy dynamic and competitive. Thus, we may conclude that new economic reforms introduced in our country in the form of liberalization, privatization, and globalization help in making Indian economy a competitive and international market. That is why IPR 1991 and the year 1991 itself are considered as the milestones of economic development in the history of India. Important concept which was introduced recently was Make in India. The investors were in a doubt whether India is a favorable destination for their investments or not. They doubted the competitiveness of Indian economy. In such situation, government took an initiative to build up our nation in the form of Make in India. So an initiative was launched as part of nation building. So what is the main content of Make in India? It will make India a global design and manufacturing hub. So we want to convert India as a hub for what? Global designing and manufacturing, which would be taking place in India itself. So this scheme or program was started in September 2014, especially to boost up the economy. It was started. So what is Make in India concept mainly? It encourages companies to set up their plants in India itself. It encourages the companies, especially domestic or Indian companies and also foreign companies, to make India as a destination to set up their production plants. So it aims to increase the contribution of domestic investors, especially businessmen belonging to India, to increase their manufacturing from 15% to 25% at least. Then, what were the important sectors covered under Make in India? So, Make in India especially covers automobiles, biotechnology, IT and IT related fields, and then tourism and so on. So, even entertainment, hotels, tourism are covered under Make in India. So, India encourages entrepreneurs to make their products, especially designing and manufacturing within India. Thereby, Make in India was an attempt to give a boost to Indian economy and make India a favorable destination for foreign investors.